Hello and welcome to MxM Live. My guest today is Taranjeet Singh. Needs no introduction in the world of the print, broadcast, and digital media. More recently, the digital media. Taranjeet is Managing Director, Southeast Asia and India of Criteo. Criteo, as we know, is the global technology company powering some of the top marketers with advertising. That's over 20,000 customers and thousands of publishers across the globe. Singh joined Criteo while the lockdown was on, and after a breezy near 2-year run heading business at Z5, and before that at BBC World, Outlook, where he spent um, 6.5 odd years, the pioneer and a short stint with NIIT. He now lives in Delhi, and welcome to MxM Live, Taran.
Thank you, Pradyuman. It's a pleasure being here and having a conversation with you.
How has been the lockdown with you? You joined Criteo when the lockdown was on, so that must
Yes, I started right in the middle of the lockdown. So I started with Criteo on the 4th of May. So I had a virtual farewell from my team at Z5, and I was virtually welcomed by the team at Criteo. It's been an amazing experience. I guess we all never thought that we'll ever experience a pandemic in a lifetime, but I think this pandemic has taught us a lot in terms of, at least from a working point of view. What I've seen is that I don't think productivity or efficiency has been hampered in any way. I feel that it's only been enhanced. Many ways, yes, there are pros and cons. The biggest con is that you don't get to meet your teams and your people face to face physically in an office environment. But I guess today, with all the technology and being virtual, it's a new world. It's a new way of working, and I guess everyone's being super productive, super collaborative, and I feel people are now going out of their way to everyone as comfortable as possible in dealing with themselves.
You know, your primary business is the business of sales, where there's always advantages of face-to-face connectivity, and especially you're living in a city of like Delhi, where relationships matter the most. So how has it been conducting business in the lockdown for you?
So Pradyuman, great question. I think, not only us as a company which has evolved, I think the entire ecosystem of doing business is evolving. Today, one thing I realized which has become better across the country, across different sectors, is respect for time. So now that people have to virtually log in for meetings, firstly, everyone's doing virtual meetings. So clients, partners, their teams, and everyone respects time. And I think that's become super efficient. I guess what people are saving time is traveling in, especially cities like ours, Delhi and Mumbai, where one can end up spending hours on the road every day, just commuting. That time's now back to all of us, and we kind of utilizing in a great way to balance out work-life balance.
So you're perhaps one of the few people who say that there is work-life balance. I thought the balance has gone off because suddenly, work time and personal time have merged.
Yes, it has. I think somewhere you have to be disciplined. What I do, Pradyuman, is that I believe in a concept called here and now. So whatever I'm doing, I want to give my 100% attention at that point of time to that thing. So whether it's work, and when I kind of switch off and do my thing to unwind myself off work, I also put in my 100% attention there.
You're an army kid, so you obviously right?
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah, well, we've also seen a lot of the other side. But one of the reasons why I wanted to do this interview with you was that you are one of the few folks who have straddled across media.
Yes.
And if the lockdown, the biggest gain of the lockdown in many ways is that digital has come into its own.
That's right.
I have seen reports that Criteo has given. I've seen reports that some of the consulting companies have issued, and they are all talking about digital spends increasing, digital becoming a very critical medium, a here and now medium, as against something which is going to happen soon enough. Right?
Right.
The KPMG report has even said that ad spends on digital will exceed that of television.
That's right, in 2021.
So one of the reasons why we decided to speak with you is that in this entire lockdown period, when we've seen reports coming in from Criteo, reports coming in from some of the consulting majors, that digital is a medium which is here and now. And it's not, earlier one would talk about the fact that perhaps by 2021, 22, 22, or 5 years from now, digital uh, uh, spends will increase, because while the mobile phone is ubiquitous, people use the internet for their lives, but are the spends there? And specifically, since we are talking about the media sector, are there enough ad spends? And now it's said that it is here. And with your background in print, you've spent a fair amount of time in television, and you've spent a fair amount of time in digital, including the OTT. What is your perspective as far as uh, advertising on digital media is concerned?
Pradyuman, just to give you some context from my point of view, I think there are a couple of things to look at. First fundamental principle is advertising will follow where the audience is. Now, if you look at the pandemic, this has actually driven a massive amount of consumer behavior change. Today, earlier digital was meant that younger audiences were adapting to the medium quicker than slightly older audiences across the segment. But, the digital landscape is totally changing with, you know, because of the pandemic. Now, what has happened is that people across segments, across cities, geographies, are now moving because digital's become the go-to medium, whether in terms of transacting, whether in terms of information, whether in terms of entertainment. And that is how we see a major shift happening now. If the audiences across geographies and segments and age groups are moving to this medium as a primary medium and go-to medium to kind of satisfy their media consumption needs, advertising has to follow. And I really don't see it as a surprise. I think pandemic or the COVID-19 has just accelerated the process of the shift on ad dollars, which in my view is going to happen. Like you very correctly said, most of the reports which we've seen recently in the market through the various consulting firms are predicting digital to be the largest medium with the highest share of ad spends in the country starting 2021 onwards. Uh, I think what will drive real value is about mediums or technology platforms who can deliver a full funnel service to their advertisers. So what I mean is like, because there is a shift and change in consumer behavior, in terms of how people buy, it is really important that, for mediums which are differentiated as, brand mediums or performance mediums, or, we were subcategorized or, we were broken into various category buckets. I think that line is gonna thin. What is really important is whichever platform or partner can help build an advertiser a full funnel ad campaign to get people interested in their brand, keep them engaged, drive royalty, and create a customer lifetime value is how I see the way moving forward in the advertising space.
And do you see that happening? At the end of the day, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I still find that uh, digital versions of newspapers, for instance, they are still not getting the dollars uh, as they should be. Although e-papers and people are accessing news because they do believe in the news that a typical newspaper-led platform offers as against television, but they don't seem to be getting the advertising. Is it something that they are perhaps doing wrong, or is it that the ad dollars are not going in for those kind of platforms, and they're perhaps going in for other platforms where digital natives inhabit?
So I'll tell you, good question. I think it's not about the question of A platform or B platform. It's about the technology a platform can offer an advertiser. Now, for example, if you can deliver clear value to an advertiser, both in terms of also having clear metrics on how to benchmark the performance of the campaign, whether in terms of reach, building frequencies, or even if you're looking at lower funnel metrics, like in terms of conversions, uh, if you can demonstrate that scale, you can demonstrate transparent, open metrics verified by third parties, you will start getting the ad dollars. And I think that shift is going to happen. The way I see in India, obviously, we all know video is going to drive a fair amount of eyeballs, and video is the fastest growing digital ad format in this country. followed by, the app ecosystem, which obviously the scale at which India is in terms of the new consumers coming onto digital mediums and internet on mobile. I think the app ecosystem is going to be the next big thing which is going to happen. And then the third layer, I would say, is the performance piece. These would be the three main pieces which would drive the overall ad ecosystem in India on the digital space.
So, I'm going to get into one more question on this. Let's take any product, and I'm giving you the name just because to illustrate it with an example. But Times of India, the newspaper versus Times of India, the .com.
Yeah.
The bucks are still going to the newspaper. The bucks are not going to the .com. What according to you should a large publication house like a Times of India, or it could be something like an Outlook or an India Today, to be able to make money through that. Not that the money from newspapers really matters in the entire ad spend universe, because clearly the money is more in television. But the fact of the matter is that for digital to really grow, we need to have even successful products like the Times of India and other publications to be able to make money, because currently what you perhaps know is that they are in many ways deselling digital.
So, I mean, I wouldn't want to specifically comment on Times of India. They have a great product, and they have also great capabilities on the digital side. I think I would speak in general
That's fine.
about the industry per se. I think, Pradyuman, what needs to be looked at is that, unfortunately or fortunately, the media has been commoditized in our country, and it's about, what can an advertiser get for the money they're spending and the ROI in that particular thing. Now, especially on the digital media, like earlier, every medium had a certain amount of premium they used to charge basis, the environment, the placement, the positioning. Now, when it comes to digital media, most of the sales are moving towards, or buying is moving towards programmatic. That will drive efficiency in terms of, the impact to the reach which an advertiser can buy. But it takes out that premium factors which were considered at one point of a time by the Indian industry in terms of buying media. Now, saying that, I think what will change a game for any company is how do they invest in their ad stack? Because technology is going to play a massive role of how this industry is going to move forward. And digital is at the forefront because it's already tech based. But what matters is how do you build a tech stack? Now, in my view, like DMPs served a certain purpose till a certain period of time, but today CDPs are replacing that because it helps create better customer personas for a brand, which then, makes it easier for them to target and retarget to their customers to build better lifetime values and so on. Or, in terms of delivering a personalized or a hyper-personalized message. See, when television and print still are very broad-based mediums, they do not offer hyper-personalization to the level of what digital can offer. And that's the way forward, because today, with attention span of a consumer reducing, in a very highly competitive media landscape, it becomes super important from an advertiser's point of view to be as personalized and as relevant to a customer, and those capabilities digital brings in. And the way I see it is, because of the shift of now, consumers across segments, demographics moving primarily to digital medium, you will see that shift happening. Secondly, I feel the players who would be able to invest in their ad tech capabilities and build the proper ad stack basis, the domain they want to operate in or they want to compete in, will be the ones who would gain from this entire particular piece.
I agree, and I think the critical thing is when you're dealing with technology, you need to invest in technology, and which
Yes.
where players like yourself, players like Criteo, have invested a fair bit to ensure that you have those tech stacks, etc., that you're talking about. Uh, Tell me, you mentioned about app usage. Now, uh, I was reading some statistic from served by Criteo that two-thirds of Indian app users have downloaded a streaming video app uh, to entertain themselves.
That's right.
And the fact that you have the Zoomers or the Gen Z and millennials preferring to use mobile apps a hell of a lot. Now, what I wanted to understand is why it's very clear that the younger set of audiences are using apps considerably, and they prefer the app platform to access information. How's that with the older set?
I think older set is also migrated. Like if you look at especially post pandemic, the way we are seeing the growth, even like, you correctly said, 65% of Gen Z and millennials have downloaded at least one entertainment app, video streaming, but 56% of slightly older groups have done that. So obviously, while the millennials and Gen Z are slightly ahead on the entertainment side, but however, the older generations are downloading news related apps. It's 3% more than the millennials. So the consumption, patterns and habits are changing more towards an on-demand service. It's the genre of content which is dictating the, I would say, 56% also is fairly high number if you look at the Indian population and the number of people on the internet who are downloading entertainment. And that means that the behavior is now more towards an on-demand viewing rather than appointment viewing. See, television used to do an appointment uh, where a particular program used to come at a particular time where people used to sit and watch that program. Today with the OTT services, you actually have the opportunity and the behavior of watching your content at your time, at your convenience, and at the screen you want to watch it. So whether you want to watch it on your tablet, your desktop, your mobile, or even your connected smart TV, the dynamics have all changed. And from a news point of view, obviously the older generations seem to have more traction with information and news, and we see like 3% more people than the millennials downloading apps around the news as a service. Now, what I've also seen, and I'm just going to refer to my notes because I just want to get the stats right. 4 in 10 Indians have also increased the app usage by spending more time shopping. Now, social networking apps have seen the most heightened download numbers with 65% increase in downloads. Video streaming and conferencing has witnessed 63 and 52% respectively. And 7 out of 10 Indians say they've downloaded an app during quarantine after seeing an ad on social network or television or a different app. And 58% of respondents downloaded an app because of word of mouth and recommendations from family and friends. So if you look at the acceptability now, what this is obviously also indicating the insight is that consumer behavior is changing. This is becoming a primary medium because this is where people are spending more time. And in terms of consumption, whether in terms of news, information, entertainment, their retail behavior in terms of shopping, everything is moving on their app as an ecosystem. And digital, that's why digital is growing and gaining at the speed it is. Consumers are moved, and that's what will move the ad dollars to eventually.
And as far as ad dollars are concerned, because at the end of the day, that's what we are all looking at, which segment of consumers matters the most to an advertiser?
I think, Pradyuman, every consumer matters to an advertiser because there are products to every different consumer sets. Today, what digital can actually offer is a really hyper-personalized way of targeting consumers with the right message, which can help build brand efficacies. It could help deliver transactions or conversions, which will eventually increase the overall customer lifecycle value for a platform or a product. And, I think there is no right one answer to it that which sect is most valuable because every consumer has a role to play with advertisers. There are products which are offered and services which are offered across age groups and territories across India.
But tell me, what is it that perhaps gives someone like Taranjeet Singh sleepless nights? Other issues, other worries. I do know there are some worries like cookies, restrictions that exist in the advertising world. What else are the worries? What is it that that worries you? What is it that you think? Gosh, if there's a magic, wand that is available, can I just
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I'll be very upfront about it. The thing which, I spend a lot of time thinking about is that how do I add more value to my customers? Because for us, customer centricity is probably one of the most important things. Uh, we want to strengthen the core of our business. We want to make sure we deliver the right value for our customers. Yes, you spoke about the cookie restrictions which the advertising industry is facing. Now, from a Criteo, I think is very well positioned for this, because 98% of our 2.5 billion IDs which we have contain persistent non-cookie identifiers. Now, what we mean is we are already diversifying our identity solutions to work beyond cookies and other identifiers with internal technology efforts. I think we are proactively collaborating with the industry on online based on four key principles: user rights, being customer driven, openness and flexibility. I think allowing user control and choices, and to understand the benefits a user will receive is going to be crucial to restore a balanced value exchange between the technology companies and the user. But for me, it's all about how do I deliver more value to my customers, and customer centricity is what probably keeps me awake at night sometimes.
Finally, it's all about ROI, right? And the customer should get the bang for her or his buck. Uh, in terms of measurement, obviously, one is looking at uh, some third-party measurement tools that are available. Is that a problem that still exists for players like yourself to ensure that people do feel? Because I do remember some time back you had the Procter and Gamble CMO talking about the lack of transparency that exists in the digital world. So what is being done to repose that faith in advertising?
So Pradyuman, I think that's a great question. I think there are a couple of challenges. You're right. Like why television was super successful in India is because it had a unified measurement panel, which became the benchmark for trading in terms of both planning as well as trading on media, which is the rating system, right? We all know about it. In the internet side, unfortunately, there is no one unified panel, and the walled gardens have their own way of approaching this particular challenge. But till the time, I don't think there is a unified panel which can be created, which is created in the digital advertising space. This challenge will persist. From our point of view, we are absolutely open. Like, we are also like now looking at diversifying and getting into video. We've started, and we've kind of enabled third-party trackers like Moat and DAR, which are standard, measurement, what should I say, partners, which most of the advertisers rely on and depend on. So we are very open. Like we said, we work across the open internet, and our ambition and our aim is to deliver as much as value back to our consumers, our customers, and we, do what is required to be done on the measurement side for the same. But till the time, from an industry point of view, I feel the industry will see a major jump, and which is a broader question, which probably I might not be able to answer, is when will the unified panel be created? Because that's something which is
But
uh,
but there isn't much work being done either. I must tell you this, that as a platform which tracks the A&M world, I get a host of communiques every day, and we as a policy just do not publish press releases based on number of page views, likes, etc. Number of page views is an absolute no-no, because we just don't know whether it's organic, whether it's there's a server farm in Jumri Talaya which is just sticking on the page view. So there has to be some attempt, and unfortunately the various industry associations, and you are obviously aware that 3 years of I has developed a special group for digital, but nothing is really happening on that front.
like I said, there are players in the industry who are open to taking third-party trackers, whether it's DCM, UTM trackers, Seismic, Mode, DAR. I think there is a fair amount of progress which has been made by most of the publishers, I would say. Yes, there are the large walled gardens which are still, a locked-in universe where it's very difficult to put in third
Super large, super large.
super large. But I guess, we'll have to wait and watch how the industry progresses. I think the one reality is that today, because of the audience shift and the value which digital can deliver in terms of ROI and impact, both from a brand point of view and performance point of view, is massive. And that I don't think can be taken away, Pradyuman. I think what we need to obviously solve for an industry is more transparency, measurement, and like Criteo always is super collaborative, and we always work with partners across the ecosystem to build, which will help the industry at scale, at large. But like I said, probably I don't have a concrete answer for you because there are certain things which are beyond my purview.
I absolutely understand. In fact, you're talking about working along with partners to ensure they get the right response. I know that you all are doing a fair bit of work around e-commerce and shopping, and
Yeah.
that obviously, at the end of the day, while you might have measurement and you might have, various attempts being made to introduce that, but what an advertiser is looking for is finally response, as finally sales. So, in the case of e-commerce and the kind of advertising that you're serving there, obviously the immediate impact can be felt in terms of sales. So how are you navigating that, and where do you see that growing specifically in the Indian context?
I think from an Indian point of view, I think e-commerce is on is on steroids. It's on hyperdrive, especially post the pandemic. Uh, you know, what our report also shows is that more than 50% respondents in the survey have turned towards more of online shopping, and 59% have said that they're not keen on physically buying goods from a store. Now, what we've also seen is approximately about, with the festive corner, coming in this particular quarter, we estimate a 28% increase year on year on the overall online retail sales. Now, we obviously work with most of the partners across the e-com system because we help them, bring in customers, help them, deliver personalized messages basis, a user's buying behavior or consumption behavior across online to deliver hyper personalized relevant messages from our tech, the tech capabilities we have, which in turn drive sales and conversions. So, I think ecom is going to be probably, even if you look at the Bain and Company's report, its market is set to clock over 100 $120 billion in gross merchandise value, and over 300 to 350 million shoppers by 2025 in India. And that's like a massive scale, which is going to come in on the e-com side. Like I said, e-com right now is on steroids. And the data we see internally, actually, the online shopping trends are far bigger than even post-COVID. And this will continue to grow.
Steroids, of course, could be a little harmful sometimes, but let me not get into the
Right.
to any other meanings. But when do you see e-commerce players stopping to advertise, take those huge jackets in newspapers? Because at the end of the day, you are a digital player, and you get people who are from the digital universe. When do you see that stopping? I know it has reduced considerably from 6 jackets which an Amazon would take. It has come down to 1 or 2. But when do you think that's stopping?
Like, honestly, I think it's a guess. My estimate is not only, I wouldn't talk about a specific player, but the way consumers are moving online, there are better ways and more cost efficient ways to reach them through online mediums. I think that transition is going to happen very quickly. There are
Thank,
many mediums today across which you could reach out to consumers and also build engagement in a very hyper personalized way.
thank you very much for your time. I needed some amount of perspective on the business from a person who's straddled across media, and there couldn't have been any a better person than you to do that.
No, thank you. Thank you so much, Pradyuman, for your time. And it was a pleasure speaking to you as always.
Thank
Uh,
you.
Thank you so much.